Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. National Human Rights Commission appeals to presidential candidates to refrain from hate campaigns. President Jonathan meets heads of missions, says Boko Haram will be defeated. NBC raises 200 billion naira to finance broadcast sector. And Boko Haram attacks Chad, scores killed. Just to remind you now that all our top stories are on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. And do visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. And we urge you to please interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android, iOS, and Windows 8 platforms. If you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions. Abdulaziz, son of the impeached governor of Adamawa State, Murtala Nyako, has been arrested in Gombe. He was immediately taken to Abuja by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for interrogation. Mr. Abdulaziz was declared wanted by the EFCC a week ago, and his arrest is in connection with about 15 billion naira funds belonging to Adamawa State. The said funds, according to the EFCC, was allegedly laundered by Mr. Abdulaziz's companies. Well, the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance in Imo State, Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho, has promised to bring to bear his wealth of experience as a retired naval captain and experienced industrialist if elected into office as the next governor of Imo State. Captain Iheanacho was addressing a rally in Olu, Idiato North and Ikedru local government area of the state. He also promised to construct roads that will stand the test of time.
It was a very warm welcome for Captain Iheanacho in Oru East local government area as he's been ushered into the campaign ground with songs and dances. Obviously overwhelmed with the crowd of supporters surrounding him, Captain Iheanacho promises the Oru East indigents better welfare package if elected into office.
All these youths here, nobody cares about you. Abga cares about you. We don't want a situation where someone else will give you money to vote for the Broom Party.
From Oru East, his campaign train moved to Idato North local government area. Again, it was a cheerful and grand reception.
With my wealth of experience as a well-traveled industrialist, I have come to note some of the things you are supposed to get but are not getting. But if you vote for me, I promise I will deliver.
The campaign train ended in Avuvu in Ikeduru local government area, where he continues to seek support for the All Progressive Grand Alliance in the state.
The chairman of the National Broadcasting Commission, Professor Herbert Oji, has paid a courtesy visit to Channels Television at its headquarters in Lagos. Well, this is the first time the chairman of the commission will be visiting a television station. Professor Oji was accompanied by his special assistant, Mr. Uche Iheakanwa, and the director of the NBC Lagos Zone, Mr. Femi Ayeni, and were received by the chairman, CEO of Channels Television, Mr. John Momo, and management of the station. Our correspondent Adeshawa Josh reports.
The convoy of the National Broadcasting Commission's chairman arrives at the headquarters of Channels Television in Lagos, the first stop of his tour of select television stations in the country. Professor Herbert Oji was warmly received by the chairman CEO of Channels Television, Mr. John Momo, and the management of the station. His visit comes as Nigeria approaches the June 2015 deadline set by the International Telecommunication Union, ITU, to transition from analog to digital, and a few weeks to the general elections. Speaking during the visit, Professor Orji commended Channels Television's leading initiatives as it continues to play an exemplary role in the industry and its compliance to the Commission's regulations. He then took a tour of the facility, expressing satisfaction, after which he revealed plans by the Commission to establish a 200 billion naira national broadcasting fund.
The original concept started with a board of commissioners through me, and we developed a concept paper that has been approved by our board of commissioners. And we're hoping that out of the total funds of approximately 200 billion, 75% will be for soft loans of less than a single double digit, less than double digit, to industry participants, and then 25% will go for grants, and they'll be used essentially for capacity building.
Speaking on the digitization deadline, Mr. Orji says that the Commission is ready to roll out, but needs more funds from the federal government to deliver completely on the process.
Assuming that the funds we're expecting tomorrow, next tomorrow, will come in, because we have built the infrastructure, the skill set. It's a question of process implementation. So our people are ready, and we are waiting for the funding. We have done as much as we can do from inside source, as we did in Plateau State. And that is the template. And it is this template that we now want to use in translating to other places.
The NBC and Channels Television have had a cordial working relationship, and this visit will further strengthen ties between the Commission and the station. Adeshewa Josh, Channels Television News.
Well, meters, transformers and other electricity utilities that do not conform to specification by the National Meter Testing Station in Lagos will be confiscated. This development follows the visit of the House Committee members on Power to the Electricity Management Service, that's the agency responsible for standardization in the power sector.
50% of electricity consumers are said to be without meter, which is a critical deliverable component of the power reform and the concluded privatization. And just like most cars products, to ensure the quality of meters that will bridge the shortfall, this center has been set up by the federal government to certify power utilities. Perhaps to give a legal teeth to this agency, the House Committee on Power is also visiting, and here's what the chairman had to say.
If you look at the bill setting up this agency, the primary objective is to ensure that there is standardization and no meter, no transformer, to mention but a few, gets into the market henceforth without certification from this agency. And when that happens, and we expect that that should be the order and practice of the day, it is the only condition that the average Nigerian or every Nigerian will have his house electrified, have a meter and have transformer nearby, and go to bed and sleep with his two eyes closed. Because we have had cases of houses getting burnt through fire coming from transformers, and in some cases meters, because of one defect or the other.
When we test any meter and it has passed the relevant test and it's been endorsed by EMSL, we actually have two things. We put a label certified, and then we put a seal to ensure the meters cannot be tampered with.
We are now in the era of smart meters, far gone from where we used to be, and quality is everything. Clearly put, those who must engage in manufacturing, sales, importation, and general electricity merchandise must have them certified and endorsed by this agency or have them sanctioned.
Before the first week of April, we are going to publish what we call the National Electric Concrete Pole Directory for this country that will show the list of all the poles, the list of all the manufacturers, the type of pole they produce, the certification they have, SON, EMSL, so that if anything goes wrong, you can trace the source.
It's a shared responsibility. Consumers have a role to play in quality check, especially with the recent announcement by the federal government that 1 billion meters will be made available. Quality indeed should not be sacrificed on the altar of scarcity. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
The Nigeria Labour Congress is struggling to overcome the incident which climaxed in a botched election involving all its industrial unions in Abuja. The candidates in the failed election have accused the union's Credentials Committee of compromise and lack of diligence, which they claim led to the irregularities that made the exercise inconclusive. Although a meeting to resolve the crisis involving all the members has been scheduled for next week, the current NLC leadership is already holding meetings on how to resolve the matter.
The Nigeria Labour Congress would have produced a new leadership on Wednesday if not for the allegation of fraud which led to the disruption of the whole exercise. After this show of shame by members of the workers' union, past leaders of a labour movement summoned an emergency caucus meeting to clean up the mess. Candidates contesting for the position of the president had accused the Credentials Committee of aiding fraud in the electoral process.
The Credentials Committee is made up of members. Two of those unions that are raising this allegation, i.e. NUI and NUPENG. The president of NUI is a member of the Credential Committee who produced the ballot paper. The General Secretary of NUPENG is a member of the Credential Committee who produced the ballot paper. My union is not a member. And therefore, those that produced this ballot paper, ab initio, have planned to disrupt the conference through that process.
Meanwhile, Comrade Joe Ajero, who was also an aspirant in elections, told Channels Television at a separate interview that the Elections Committee has to be more vigilant ahead of the rescheduled elections.
We are basking on the euphoria that we know how to do it. We don't rig in NLC elections. We have embraced democracy to high heavens, and we pride ourselves to this. But I think this lesson is a call for more vigilance.
The Executive Committee of the Workers' Union has fixed another meeting with stakeholders, including aggrieved contestants, to find a solution to the crisis.
When the news at 10 returns, crude oil futures rise above $60 per barrel. That's on Business News. You'll join us again.